Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Clips with the Coalition, brought to you by the Nebraska Culture Change Coalition. We're excited to have you watching this clips today, and I just want to say Happy Nurses Week to everybody out there. Hope you're having a great week, just celebrating all you do, and we're just so thankful for all you do. So keep up the great work. Today we have a special guest talking to us about her own personal experience with early onset dementia. From a loved one. So I'd like to introduce Melody Gagner. She is the administrator for Madonna St. Jane de Chantal Long-Term Care Services, and she is going to share with us today. So go ahead, Melody.
Great, thank you. And thank you for inviting me. It's always wonderful to have an opportunity to talk to people and raise awareness on early onset dementia. My husband was showing symptoms years before I even realized it. And, thinking way back, I thought, as a nurse, I should have picked up on that. But when you're a wife and you're, intimately involved, you don't think about those types of things. You just think something else is maybe going on. But he just turned 63. I think I can track back to when he was about 56 or 57 showing symptoms. My husband and I used to ride motorcycles. We would travel around the nation, on our motorcycles. And about 5, 6 years ago, I just noticed that he was didn't know how to start the motorcycle, didn't know how to go to places we'd been to several times. My husband was very crafty. He built our 4,000 square foot home out in the country. He did all of these wonderful things, and it was getting to the point where he would try to remodel our bathroom, and it took 3 months just to install a cabinet or, just things like that. And I was just thinking, well, as he's just getting older, he's losing the knack. But in reality, it was, signs of early onset. It was 2.5 years ago that it raised enough concern that I scheduled him for a MRI with a neurologist. So we took him in, and it did show graying matter in the frontal lobe, which it indicates some frontal lobe type. But you can't really diagnose a type of dementia, until they're gone. But because of the symptoms and the things that he was exhibiting, that's what led them to think that's what it is. So we brought him to Madonna. Madonna has a wonderful memory testing here. So we brought him to Dr. Travis Groft, who is wonderful, and did the testing on Alan. And that was in February of 22. And that's when he determined that, yes, in fact, he does have dementia. It was the executive decision-making, very poor decision-making, his speed and the capability to finish a project, things like that. And so, just over the years, we've been married 40 years this year, and, you really know people. And it was just getting to the point where, he was making these decisions. And of course, I would say, why are you doing that? Well, then he'd get mad. And I thought, well, this is really strange, because that just wasn't my husband. He was very happy-go-lucky and jovial, and he was getting mad because I was challenging these decisions, or I was correcting him. And up until about a year ago, I still was trying to do that, but an epiphany went off, about a year ago. And I thought, you know what, I have to change, because he can't change. He's not capable. It wasn't his fault. And so when, I would see that he was making a bad decision, I would have to intervene sometimes, because sometimes they were unsafe, like with our grandkids. Our grandkids would come over, and he would let them do things that you should never let a 5-year-old do, or, things like that. And so I had to learn how to deal with those situations in a very calming approach. Instead of saying, why are you doing this? This isn't safe. I would say, oh, honey, let me help you with that. Or, can we maybe start this bonfire instead of starting a fire close to the house, or, something like that. And he would be working on tasks, like he tried to build this birdhouse, which was just a pole with a house at the top. And it literally took him a year to figure out how to put it together and get it into the ground. And he never got it finished. He got so frustrated. So I tried to help him. I tried to just, conform to what he was trying to do. And we have gotten along a lot better since then because it just felt there was so much struggling. About 2 years ago, we did bring a retired nurse into our home just because he's still functional, he still remembers things, but his ability to complete tasks, cook, he used to grill, he used to do all the cooking. Now he does none of it. He doesn't even know how to start the grill. So this caregiver is with us, and she helps, she cooks meals, they go shopping together. And initially it felt violating and, losing someone that you have been with and ate meals with, because now they eat meals together, and I'm at work all day. And so, it's a very, it's difficult to adjust to when you've been with someone as long as we have. But I have noticed, and just over the last year, the way I have changed has helped our relationship. I'm no longer the wife, really. I'm more of and I don't even know if it's a caregiver, but I'm existing there because, his whole world is him and Becky, and they're doing their shopping and they're cooking their meals. And I go to work and I come home and get to spend time with him. But, to me, that's the quality time that I can spend with him. And as you know, people with dementia, you get into the evening hours and that cognition isn't near as sharp as it was in the morning. And so, you just have to make the best of it. You can't argue at all. I do not ever challenge what he does. I have to set up his meds for him, and then sometimes he doesn't take them right. And so I've had to get Becky more involved with his medications, and because we started him on Aricept about a year ago, and it has helped a little bit. But it's just that very poor decision making that's very difficult to deal with. And it's scary. I mean, there are some things he does that scares me. So it's just adjusting. It's, being in tune to what's happening and just not contributing to that anxiety and to his anger. So, but it's day to day. Like I said, he's only 63 years old. You don't know what the future looks like. But you just go every day and just make the best of it. So, are there any questions that anyone has or any thoughts? But it's not an easy thing to talk about, and it's not an easy thing to watch, but I'm available to anyone if anyone would like to reach out if you're seeing things or seeing symptoms. But
So
thank you.
actually, I'm kind of curious. You mentioned that early on, there were probably things that he was doing, and it took you a long time to really recognize that it had to do with dementia. Can you describe some of the types of things that were going on other than the few that you had mentioned?
It was just, so we go shopping, we go to the store, and he would walk way behind me. He's very slow. He started like shuffling his feet, taking a long amount of time to pick out an item. Say he wanted bananas, he would stand there for 20 minutes trying to decide which bananas he wanted. Like I said, doing tasks that he used to do, just like he grilled every single day. That's what we did. We grilled. And he didn't know how to start the grill. He didn't know how to change the propane tank. And, he was so handy and crafty. And then it got to the point where he started 20 things and didn't finish any of them. And, that just wasn't my husband. And so that was the biggest thing, because he was such a valuable, resource and helping do things around the house. And now he's not capable of doing anything.
So as a follow-up to that, I'm kind of curious then. Obviously, a diagnosis of dementia is never good. Although I could almost see where after you've had maybe a couple of years of a lot of frustration, your husband's no longer acting right. You don't know what it is. So you're probably wondering what in the world's going on. When you got that diagnosis, was there maybe almost some relief where it was like, oh, well, at least now I know that what it is and maybe how better to handle it? Or was there absolutely nothing positive about it?
It gave me a sense of relief, but it also gave me incredible guilt that I was challenging it, and I was, almost in a battle with him all of the time. So I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm a nurse, I'm his wife. I should have picked up on it, but I didn't. So, you can't think like that though. You have to be in the here and now, and you got to deal with what's happening. And sorry, I get a little bit of emotional when talking about it. We've been together 50 years, and to see your loved one deteriorate like that is hard.
Melanie, I just have a question. I know you guys have been together since you were like 14.
12.
12. They met at the skating rink.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
That's so awesome. So like a lot of times I hear from spouses, especially like you guys have been together for so long and you have this kind of routine of what you talk about and what you how you communicate. And so can you talk a little bit about, because I think this is really hard for people too, like we've gone from this like married couple relationship and now like maybe is he worried about the finances? Does he ask about those things? And if he does, what do you tell him? And how do you keep him from worrying about those things when he doesn't remember? Do you understand what I'm asking?
Well, so I mean, and that's a really good point, Kelly, because 2-3 years ago, he had a Shields card that he would, purchase things, and he was going to like Menards and Walmart and purchasing things over and over and over again. Like, I'll bet we have 20 rakes, we have 20 shovels. And, he just didn't remember that he got it, and he'd bring it home and put it in the garage. And, then he didn't know he had it, and then he went and got another one. And so he never really had the concept of what he was spending, so I had to take that away from him, which was very difficult. And I had to explain to him, honey, we've got these, this many shovels and this many whatever, I don't think we need them anymore. And it just got to the point where I had to take it away. And then I give him, some money just for spending, if he's going to Casey's and wants to, get a pop or something. But he worries about the future. Yes, he does. He doesn't worry about the finances. He knows I'll take care of it. He doesn't worry about what's the household. He knows I'm going to take care of it. He's still at the point where he knows what's coming. He wants to do all these things now because he knows in the future he's not going to be able to, and things like that. So, and how some dementia patients, in the end stage will pace and pace and pace and walk and walk and walk. Well, he's right now where he goes outside and will mill around in the yard or the garage for hours and hours and hours and not eat or drink. And that's why I had to get Becky involved to make sure he's eating, make sure he's drinking, because he will keep working for hours without coming inside. And so, but he knows the future and what it holds. Because I'm very open with him. I don't hide anything. I'm open with our friends, and we have lost a lot of friends. It's a scary thing to watch, and it's a scary thing to deal with, and some people don't understand it. But it's been a challenge all around. It's been a lot of change, but we're dealing with it, and I'm just thankful to be in his life.
Melody, have you done anything yourself to help work yourself through this? I mean, I'm just wondering, that would be incredibly traumatic and difficult for you to go through.
I've noticed that I put more into work, I've always worked a lot, and I've always, my whole profession has been this, but I noticed that I stay longer sometimes because it's hard to go home to and see. I come in on the weekends just to kind of get away. I teach Zumba and Refit. Kelly has attended some of my classes. So I do that, you know, for my own personal well-being. I have two wonderful kids and grandkids. So, and our grandkids still love to come see Papa and, you know, things like that. So, but yeah, it takes a mental toll. And that's one thing that's very important is to take care of yourself. Because, you know, if you're not healthy to take care of them, you know, what would happen? Great questions. It's difficult, and I don't wish it upon anybody, but when it's here, you deal with it. But I'm telling you, as a caregiver, you have to make the changes. You can't expect them to make any changes. And that's what I mistakenly did initially.
Well, and don't beat yourself up about that, you know. We always say, you know, you only do the things with the knowledge that you have, and you didn't know, you know, sometimes, heck, I forget too. And I mean, working in memory care, you immediately kind of go to that thought. It's just because our days are, you know, who would have ever known, you know, but it is hard to beat yourself up, not beat yourself up about it, you know,
Yeah.
but, um, you know, so, gosh. And it's tough because you've kind of lost that guy, you know, he was
Yeah.
so handy and things like that. And now you're having to make a whole different world, you know, it's a whole different world for you because things that he used to do now, you're either having to do yourself or find someone to help you do those things. And it's different. And he's not the person that he was before. He's a new person and getting to learn that new person.
That's a fact. I mean, he did all of the changing of oils, fixing of tires, and all of that. And now, you know, I have to take it somewhere else. You're right. It's changed every aspect of our life.
Mhm. Things that we take for granted, right? You know, until something happens and then we're like, oh,
But when you love someone, you do what you got to do.
you're
And
darn right.
I'm there till the end. You know, I worry about what that future does look like. Am I going to have to eventually put him somewhere? And my daughter, you know, my daughter's very supportive, but she's more on, Mom, I think you need to do it sooner than later. We're worried about you. We're worried about you, you know. And I said, you know, I won't do it till I absolutely have to.
Well, and one thing that we know about healthcare workers, we're so good at taking care of everybody else, but when it comes to our own self-care,
Yeah, that's a fact.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And then when people find themselves in that care partner role, they forget about themselves too,
Mhm.
because you're so focused on your loved one.
Yeah. But our 40th anniversary is this fall in August, and we're going to take a 2 week trip. We're going to go to Nashville.
Oh,
We're going to go see Graceland and Dollywood and Smoky Mountains. That's something he's always wanted to do. So I'm going to get him there this year. So
Awesome.
I haven't been in Nashville since Kelly and I went in 2016. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Melody, thank you so much. I have to tell you, if I was there in person, my arms would be around you,
Oh,
hugging
thank
you. And I want to thank you so much for being vulnerable, for sharing your story with us, because it's so impactful and it's more people need to hear this. And I, in particular, appreciate you talking about feeling almost violated with having someone live in
Mhm.
your home and do all these things with your husband.
Yeah.
Because as you know, my husband lives with dementia as well. And that is a huge fear of mine. And, you know, when I do need to put him in a community, what happens to me? And,
Right.
you know, and I'm thinking we may even have you come back and do a segment just on that, about what that feels like, because I'm not there yet, but I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
And you are just so gracious and so giving, and appreciate you so much for sharing this. And yeah, this was a lot today, and so good. So good. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and I'm glad I ran into you and Kelly, at convention, because I've kind of not been real involved in a lot of that just because like Carney, I drove back and forth and I didn't want to stay overnight. And, it just really changes how you operationalize things as it goes on. So, but it was really good to see you all, and thank you for inviting me. And I'm always willing to talk to people about it because you can't sweep it under the rug. It's not going anywhere. You got to raise awareness, and it's raw and it's real. I mean, it's not
Yes,
glamorous. So,
yes. And the invitation goes to you too, that if you need us, you reach out to us too, because you're being so gracious in letting people come to you. We want to extend that same invitation.
absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.